Welcome back, sir, Beyond Beta. Warm regards from the Finance and Investment Cell, SRCC. I'm Rushil Ahuja, along with Purnika Bagga, and we'll be your hosts for today. It's a real privilege to be joined by someone who has made a strong mark in the field of investment and who is none other than Mr. Sushant Bhansali, the CEO of Ambit Asset Management. With over 2 decades of experience in investment, asset management, and strategic leadership, he's built a respected voice in the industry.
Mr. Bhansali's journey includes qualifying as a chartered accountant, studying analytical finance at ISB Hyderabad, and taking part in a global leadership program as well at Harvard Business School. He has spent several years in corporate leadership, especially shaping Ambit's approach of high quality, long term, research focused investing. Under his guidance, Ambit Asset Management has consistently focused on strong governance, disciplined capital use, and sustainable business models. And we're talking about this especially at a time where Indian markets are rapidly evolving. Sir, thank you for being with us today. It's an absolute honor to host you.
Sir, our audience mostly include young minds who are interested in the field of finance and want to pursue a career in the same. So, sir, please tell us about yourself, your life, and your journey so far.
It's been a long journey, so I don't know how much you want me to catch up. But I can start probably from the day I got into professional life. So I cleared my CA finals in November 2010 with a rank and come from a small city called Jodhpur, no more small now, but coming from a smaller town. I came to Mumbai in 2001 and given my good rankings in the CA final exam, I was able to secure a job at PwC without being formally trained at one of the big fours. And post that, I think I spent almost 5 years there. And then at some point of time, I realized that consulting, which is what I was doing at PwC, is not my cup of tea in terms of the travel time it takes. Although I enjoyed and learned a lot about various industries, but the frequent travel was, I would say, a bit something which I got worried that it will not a long-term thing for me. And that's what motivated me to join Morgan Stanley. I worked there for about 1.5 odd years, which somehow was more of a research, desktop research job. I was missing the travel which I was doing earlier. And that's where I decided that let me try and do an MBA. And I applied to few schools and got admission at ISB. And spent a good year along with my family. And it was a superb experience of learning, networking, making new friends, and learning not just from teachers but from fellow participants in the program. From there, I got campus placements at Ambit, and the day I entered Ambit, it was an Indian firm, so my expectations were quite muted in terms of office infrastructure, culture, etc. And the first step which I took at Ambit, I saw an amazing infrastructure. And the first thought which came to my mind was that if I get a good growth or if I get a good culture, I'll probably be here forever. And that's how life has been. I've been with Ambit now for 17 plus years. This is my 18th year in knowing. And I've grown well. I joined at the age of actually 29. And within, I would say, quick speed time, one of at the age of 37, I became the youngest MD at the firm and the youngest CEO at the age of 39. And since the growth has been quite rapid and the culture has been phenomenal, I've stayed just being there and enjoying the growth and the perspectives.
That's quite enriching, sir, to hear about all of that. Now, I'd really like to take a deep dive as to what were the early influences which have truly set the base for your strong financial analysis today. For example, you went to ISB to study analytical finance. So, was there one way of thinking or analyzing companies that will stay with you even today, for a matter of fact?
I would say the ISB way of teaching is actually quite similar to the way I studied at Howard. And that I think something which puzzled me a lot that at a young age of that school, not even I think 5 or 6 years, we were able to get world-class facility infrastructure and the way of teaching, which is being taught in global schools, and Howard Business School is the top ranked school, right, for ages. So I think we were quite lucky to be in India at such a great school. And the style of teaching, the infrastructure, everything was just same which was there at Howard now. So almost 18 years back, we had the same facilities in India. And that was, I think, quite an experience in itself. And if I look around in terms of the way of teaching of case study based coaching, I think it's something very phenomenal. You are not, I would say, puzzled into the frameworks, the graphs, the tables, etc. But you get real world coaching by looking at real world cases across sectors, across geographies. In many instances, there were participants from the countries on which we did our cases being present as well, either digitally or physically. So that was a great working learning experience. And the participant profile was also such, it was quite diverse. Almost, I think, 20% of the batch were from outside India, mostly NRIs though, but still the perspective which we got from all the fellow participants across all these sectors and age groups. Like we were, I was 28 that time, and my colleagues were somewhere between 23 to all the way to 63. So quite varied age profile, different experiences, different sectors, different levels, including IS officers, including doctors. So it was a holistic learning experience, and it helped, I would say, in terms of learning, whether it was finance or strategy or anything else, from a different perspective and a different lens. So it was not about applying a single framework or applying a single methodology to solve something, but how to use a holistic approach to solve things. And it was more of a problem solving nature of studying compared to using a framework to define a problem and then solving it.
I must say you have actually experienced a lot and learned so much from your life. So, sir, if I'm not wrong, you were in the technical department at BWC, and now you are in the decision-making department at Ambit, since you're the CEO out there. So, sir, this shift that you've gone through, any advice that you have for people who actually want to make such big decisions in their life?
Yeah, I think at the young age of your career, you don't get into decision making. Probably you do take some decisions, which are split second decisions as to whether should I do this or whether should I do that. But long term strategic decisions are something which you start, I would say, taking once you have 5, 7, 10 years of experience when you are into managerial role or a leadership role. So at a young age, one should not think about how will I get there or what will I do once I do. I think as your personality gets developed, as your skill sets gets developed, by nature you will learn how to make decisions. And there is no right or wrong decision. I think when you're taking a decision, it's a zero or one binary decision which you have to take. The implications of that decisions are something which define the success and failure, right? A wrong decision can still prove to be a right implication because of things which are not in your control. You remember, you can only take a decision basis what is in your control, right? Taking a left or right is something where there are only two choices. You take a left side or a right side. But after taking a left, if there is another time you go back to the right way, then you are safe. But that was something which you didn't know when you take the decision. So I would say that just focus on learning while you are young. Uh, Develop your technical skills as much as you can, because when you have to take decisions and you don't have much time, your experience on the ground, your experience on the technicals will is something which will help you take those time-taking decisions.
Right, sir. Sir, talking about your academic trajectory, your experiences have been unusually diverse, I must say. I would like to ask, the HPS Advanced Management Program puts you in a room with leaders from many industries and countries. So, how did that environment change the way you think about leadership? With this strong emphasis on how, what do you think about the India's investing landscape, especially?
Yeah, so I think very broad set of question, but probably I will answer it in few manners. But being with, I would say, leaders across the world from 43 countries, almost 165 leaders were with you at that program. And the sense of achievement on day one itself, where you believe that you are part of such a great audience and decision makers across the globe, feels and gives you that, I would say, self-confidence that you participate with much more rigor. So I think it was a great experience. The best thing which I would say, reflect now was that while being there, I thought that I was amongst the top few there, right? Only at the end of the program is when you realize that actually nobody is at the top. Everybody is sort of so equal. There are few people. I used to think that because I used to participate a lot in the class. And towards the end is when I realized that many people who don't participate, actually, they have much more knowledge and they have much more to contribute. Somehow they are not able to participate. So it was more of a soft skill lacking versus being an Indian, I would say, being more fluent in English, no language barrier, etc., which helped me probably and many more participants to participate much more than everybody else. But it's not that the others were either dumb or they didn't know. I think they knew much more. It's just their willingness or ability to participate with confidence was something which was different from my perspective. And that's why I realized that God has made five different fingers of different sizes for a reason. Each of it has a use. Right? And that's what I think diverse set of leaders with different confidence levels, different capabilities, different soft skills is something which is needed in any organization. So applying, I would say that thought process to any organization is very important. And the way I would say the investing landmark and landscape in India has evolved, I think is quite changed. I think 25 years back, India was a more capital scarce country versus now we are not no more capital starved. We are, I think, abundance of capital which is available to take risk. We used to be a almost debt-driven economy. We are now an equity-driven economy. There is so much of cultural change which has happened in the last 8, 10 years, especially I think I would say once digitization journey of India has reached at such a level that it has changed and helped people to access equity markets and develop the equity culture. Ultimately, it's the equity value which will create wealth for individuals and corporations. Fixed income products are only to beat inflation. And I'm glad that in the last 10 years, the journey of equity culture being getting much higher and much more is on the right path. In the times to come, I would say this is what will change and define India compared to everybody else. If you look at a few geographies which have done well globally, it's entirely, I would say, because of a robust equity market, capital markets being there, be it Japanese economy, be it US markets, be it Chinese market. I think the risk-taking ability of entrepreneurs being, I would say, participative by everyone is something which motivates people to take risk and make it good.
Right, sir. So, sir, across your journey, was there really one moment or opportunity that significantly changed your career trajectory?
Definitely, I think there was one moment I think which actually changed the whole career landscape for me. I joined Ambit as an executive assistant to our group CEO. Worked in his office, worked with Ashok, the group CEO, for almost 5 odd years. So although the EA role for which I was recruited was there for just about 1.5 years, but I became more like part of a group CEO office and a strategy and execution sort of role. But after like 5 year period, I was thinking hard as to which is the division on the business side where I should go and build my career now. And one fine day, a colleague of mine who was running the M&A practice, he came with a suggestion that let's start an investing business. And it was just a 5 minute casual conversations. And towards the end of conversation, it was just me, my group CEO, and my colleague. And he put in a proposal that let's do this. And towards the end, he just asked that probably I can take Sushant with me. He has spent 5 years with you. And this is something I think he can do well with me. And I'd observed my colleague for almost 5 odd years and was quite inspired by his journey and his thought process. And I instantly said yes to it without even blinking my eye. And I think that was the pivotal moment in my career where I moved away from, I would say, the field side of work, from the technical side of work, on the investing side, because that was in my career the first time I was getting on the investment side. And since then, I've been on the investment side. So that was, I think, the moment of change in my career.
That is great to know, sir. Sir, Ambit is known for its long-term research-driven investing. So, as a CEO, what has been the toughest part of building a high conviction portfolios while focusing on the companies with strong governance? Because obviously, the small companies offer you larger profits, but the large companies that would actually build a long-term stability. So, how do you approach things at Ambit?
So from a governance perspective, I don't think whether you are small or big, it matters. It's how you approach your business is what it matters. And there are companies which are mega cap companies, but they are still less well governed, while there are smaller companies, micro cap companies who are much better well governed. I mean, in fact, there are unlisted companies which are so much well governed. Even in Ambit, I would say that we are a privately unlisted company. We are a private company, but the level of governance which we have an independent board of directors for since the inception of the company when we were too tiny, right? When there was no need, there was no, I would say, requirements. But still, we have regular board meetings, we have audit committee meetings, and so on and so forth. So it's, I would say, upon an entrepreneur how they want to approach the business, how they want to govern the business, compared to whether you are big or small. So I would say that defines the character of the company and the character of the organization, and which is what we are focused as investors, that how well governed the companies are. Because if the intentions are right, if the governance is right, then everything else I think is more technical research. But subjective comfort is something which creates value in long term.
Right, sir. So, switching gears to the Indian landscape that we encounter now, which has had an absolute metamorphosis for one. So, India's investment and asset management space has changed rapidly, be it the regulations or the investment behavior or digital access for that matter. So, what are the biggest shifts that you have seen, especially during the pandemic, let's say 2019, and how has Ambit adapted to that, especially?
Yeah, a lot has changed. I think post pandemic, I think the digital revolution which has taken place during pandemic and has continued so far has changed a lot in the world and also in the investing side. The access to information has become much faster, much longer, and now with AI coming into play, I would say that deciphering the information and connecting the dots has become much simpler, and that is changing the game. Uh, Having said that, these are more technical stuff which are making life probably more efficient, but the fundamentals of investing, I think, have not changed. Investing into good companies at a good price is something which makes money and nothing else. So how you identify those companies, probably quantification, quantitative measures can help you bring down the number of companies you research on much efficiently. But applying that subjective framework, quantitative framework on top of that remains the same. So there are a few things which have changed and are helping becoming more efficient as investors, but the fundamentals of investing aren't changing, and I doubt that they will change.
Right, sir. So again, the things could change, but the mantras and the roots always remain. So, sir, in you might have many clients, you talk to them on regular basis. So was there one investor question that made you rethink of how the Indian product should be designed for the families, or something that should be changed in them?
There are many questions I would say, and not too many answers. The only thing which always puzzles us as asset managers is that every investor invests with a long-term view, but most of them get boggled down by short-term trends. And it's on both sides. It's not just that losses make you vulnerable. Even profits, I would say, do that. So if you earn too early, then also it makes people uncomfortable. Everybody knows that in long term, this is what you will make. Let's say, let's give you the number, let's say 15%, correct? But it's never a linear path. So 15% average is a combination of 10 and 20. You take it simplistically, or minus 15 and plus 30, making an average 15, right? But that doesn't change, I would say, the long term. But all these short term volatility is something people expect that in short term, every year you will make money, every year you will make 15%, which is not the case. So that has, I would say, puzzled. The way we have tried to solve that problem is that communicate more efficiently and effectively, communicate more, communicate focused, and explain why things are the way they are. Ultimately, the growth of a company, be it earnings, be it their return on capital employed, etc., which will define how they are valued and the level of governance. but they are not again linear matters. They also are volatile. Right? So from that perspective, to explain to your investors as to how are things playing out, what are the things happening in market, what are the things happening in your portfolio is very important. And this is what I would say we have done, try to do. We write newsletters, we conduct webinars, we write emails, WhatsApp messages, we make some social media posts with a single focus that people should think about us when they think about Ambit is that these are guys who spread lots of good knowledge, and they are helping us take better decisions.
Right, sir. That's very insightful. Now, if I talk from my perspective as, someone who is this finance enthusiast, especially, and having been talked with so many other students, there is this sort of perplexion, there's some sort of confusion regarding, the finance industry, especially. Today students feel pressure to choose investment banking, private equity, venture capitalism, or, markets or consulting very early. So, based on your journey, how should a 20-year-old actually figure, out what part of finance fits them and how should they train themselves also?
Sorry to cut you off. Just to add on this, I myself am really into finance and I really want to make a career in the same, but I'm so confused. Like I'm not able to decide as of which field to choose. So, sir, this advice is something, this problem is something which every person who wants to enter the field faces. So your insights on this.
I would say that you must be meeting many professionals, many leaders. Right? And if you look at their journey, their LinkedIn profile itself, which is very simple to do nowadays, right? You realize that where they start their career and where they are today, after 15, 20, 25 years, is very, very different. Like I started at PwC into risk management solutions, right? And I'm running investment management business today. Entirely different set. Probably you can say that it's a larger financial services, right? So once you enter an industry, I think where it takes you uh, I would say, long term is very different. So don't worry about where you begin. I think it makes sense whether you want to be in financial services, you want to be in manufacturing, you want to be in technical side as a career choice, which you should be, I would say, thinking through yeah, in much detail and taking long-term decisions because of that. But where you enter in that field just doesn't matter. I think first few years of your career, your focus should be just to learn. In whichever way you are learning, that's fine because ultimately you are trying to learn the ecosystem. So if you are into private equity or into a VC or into investment banking on sell side, or you are into equity research, or you are into, I would say, ratings, fixed income, anything you do, what you are trying to learn is learn about more and more industries, right? As to how the business models are, how does valuation work, and over a period of time, you will switch jobs in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. And even if you are not changing your organization, the role will keep on changing. Right? The first few years focus has to just embrace yourself with lots of technical know-how in terms of how businesses work. And that will help you find, I would say, your own true north in terms of finding out where your inclination are. Because as a student, you might think that investment banking is something which is your career. But once you get in that, is that you realize actually it's not. Right? Because your perspective as a student will be very different from perspective as a professional. And then also again, as you grow up, your inclinations will change. It's not that what you like today is the same thing you like after 5 years. Right? So when you are a student, probably just giving you simple examples of life. When you are a student, probably you like t-shirts and round neck t-shirts more, right? But as you grow up, probably you like collar shirts, right? Or probably once you're getting older, you want to wear a suit all the time, right? So these preferences, inclinations keep changing in every facet of your life, be it your personal life, be it your professional life, be it your attire, be it the type of shoes you wear, everything changes over life. So don't get bogged down that what I'm entering in today is something which will be there with me lifetime, right? And also you cannot plan that okay, I have to reach to probably point D, then I will go A and then B and then C and then D. Life is not linear. Life is not simple. You will just, there's no single path, I would say, to reach somewhere. And and there's no single timeline. Everybody is different and everybody will reach their own destination in a different manner. So wherever you feel, I think what is more important rather when you are taking a job to see that whether the organization culture is something that you like or not. Focus more on that than on the goal. Focus more on the people you will work with. Focus more on, there are priorities in life. Let's say whether you want to work outside India, whether you want to work inside India. If you are if your parents are in a metro city and do you want to be in the same city or not, right? If you are coming from a hometown or from a small town, then in life, I think decisions are less, tough but easier because in your small town you don't get those many opportunities. You have to go to a metro. Correct. So those are the things which you should consider more when you are choosing your first job in your career. I think after that you will get enough opportunities, enough time to make those shifts.
Thank you for such a wonderful advice. I'm pretty sure this video should be seen by every finance student there. Such like it's a bundle of knowledge that way. So, sir, in the future, how do you think the future of Indian investing is defined, and what should young professionals actually be prepared for in the future?
We are in the midst of a big equity, right? For professionals of your age who are in their early 20s. And I think the next to 25, 30-year runway on the equity side is quite strong for India. And as you reach leadership position when you are in 50s, I would say by that time, while work will take you wherever it takes you, but on the investment side, I think equity is something which will define. At times, an equity is not linear, so it will be volatile. So one has to embrace the volatility and make use of an opportunity. So whenever there are downturns, probably you make more investment. Whenever things are going crazy, probably you take some money off the table. So these are basic principles of investing one should keep in mind. But the next, we are in a super cycle, I think, on equity side in India. So and I think you guys are right there in the beginning of the cycle and your career, which is coinciding. So the amount of component which you will get will be much more than what your parents got.
Right, sir. That's absolutely insightful again. So coming to one of our final segments now, we will be closing with a quick rapid fire. So we are talking about short questions, short answer, but very deep insights based on the very insightful interview you have had up until now. So what's the first habit you picked up early up in your career that you swear by even today?
Don't let your boss do anything. I would say this is the most defining thing one as a professional you can do at the early part of the career. Your boss should be fully dependent on you. They should get so much comfort that my junior will complete the thing. They should have so much confidence. I think that's the only thing which helped me, uh, I would say, speed up my career progression.
That is a good one, sir. So, one book that changed your perspective about investing.
Psychology of Money. I think it's an amazing book written in a very simple language and the investing fundamental principles I talked about, most of them are there in that book. And it's more behavioral finance, but I think that's what is needed for managing investments.
Wow, so another one. So the most underrated quality in a great fund manager.
Patience. You take, see, as an investor, you have to take very few decisions, but you have to live with those decisions for long. And if you don't have patience, then you will end up taking more decisions. And the more decisions you take, the I would say that you are reducing the probability of success. So not doing something is
The,
something which is the, I would say, most underrated quality.
the next one is really interesting. One perspective that you had about the market that you no longer have. Basically, in your novice years, you might have thought with something that you gained experience and thought that now it's not a thing you should be considered.
I would say mixing the short term and long term together. That don't only think real long term. I would say that market gives you opportunity. You have to use them, and many times next 3 or 5 year returns are already being given to you. So take them and book profits. Something which I have learned. I For a large part of my professional career, I didn't sell anything. I only used to buy. But I have realized that we need to take money off the table at times and continuously look for opportunities.
Right, sir. So, based on your interactions with young professionals and young students, what do you think is the most overrated advice they follow, in today times?
Taking too much actions. I think we think that people who buy and sell more will deliver more, but taking too much actions, I think, is rather value destructive than value creative. Taking
I
more
would be
decisions, people believe
absolutely.
that they are super smart. They sold at high and they bought at low, etc., etc. But in 5 years, we realize that we sold quite cheap and quite early.
We absolutely love your answers, sir. Crisp to the point. Then the next one, apart from obviously Ambit, which other company do you would you choose as one of the best governance or culture wise?
There are many actually, and it's not one versus another. I would say I think each organization is very different in terms of the culture which they bring to the table, the governance they bring to the table, and I would say there are many organizations, and if you look at companies which are now more board governed than promoter governed, these are the companies where governance is of top notch. Look at the HDFC Group, right? Look at the ICICI Group. So these are, I would say, well respected organizations. Each of them will have a different style of governance. And there is no, I would say, single unique way of governing. There will be different ways, and one should be open about different ways of governance. And I think I admire many of these institutions which are modern companies now.
So now an interesting one regarding a career trajectory. What do you think is the best decision you made, however, accidentally?
Yeah, so I think that that earlier question which you asked about one uh, moment. And I think that was the accidental choice, right? It was just a casual conversations, and I was asked, and I immediately said yes. And I think that's the defining moment of my career. It was by accident. It was not by. It's not that I was aware of it and I was thinking about it, and then I said yes. It was just at a moment, something which happened. By I would say grace of God that I'm into this profession versus doing something else.
If now we're at the last question. This is to know about your hobbies. So one thing that you're currently learning or trying to get better outside of finance.
So more like at a professional level or a personal level.
Let's incline this towards your personal life. Any hobby that you have
We
or
would love
something
to
that
know
you're
all
pursuing outside of
answers.
right.
So one thing I'm trying to do, and which is what something I learned at Harvard, right? There's a lot of focus on personality development, right? And the one thing, and it's probably true both for personal as well as professional side of, I would say, not procrastinate, which means take decisions quickly, don't linger around. Think I take a lot of time leveling between decisions and then finally taking decisions. I think that's something which I'm trying to work on myself.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for such an enriching and a deeply insightful conversations. Your reflections, let's say from discipline, governance, strategic judgment, and long-term thinking, they're not just crucial for aspiring in finance enthusiasts like us, but also for anyone who's trying to build clarity in such a noisy market landscape where there are so many opinions and a lot of perspectives as such. We truly appreciate your time and generosity in sharing your journey with us. We hope you also had a great time answering our questions as well.
No, I really enjoyed the conversation. Great set of questions. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me there.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much, sir.
so much, sir.
Thank you.